High Commission for Refugees and said, maybe we should start taking this seriously. Maybe. Move on. Because we've made the announcement, it got a blip in the media, and we move on. Because we trust the UN. We trust the UN because we hate the companies. But isn't it time we now rethink this trust paradigm? Imagine if we were able to engage with the corporations in a much more different way. Now, I'm not saying corporations are perfect. They certainly do some things that are wrong too. Now, let's take the BHP Samarco disaster in Brazil. We all know the dam that burst and flooded a couple of valleys, killed a lot of people. BHP did not run and operate that mine. They were a major shareholder of that mine. And a lot of people would protest and say, but they should have taken the ownership responsibility, which, to be fair, BHP is. Let's now go the next step. Who owns BHP? Oh, those big institutionalised investors, the banks and the superannuation companies. Yeah, but who owns those? And the answer is, you do. All of you. Hands up if you own directly or indirectly BHP shares. You shake your head, do you have superannuation? Yeah, you do. Unless you have opted out of mining, you own BHP. And if you were protesting about BHP saying because they own the mine, they have some sort of responsibility, my answer back to you is, well, what is your responsibility? Because you own BHP. And here's one of the exciting things now. Because Australia started compulsory superannuation much earlier than any other economy, you all are owners of the big evil corporations and the banks. You all can take a responsibility. Now, once every 3 or 4 years, depending on whether we're talking about a state or a federal election, you're asked to vote. And we think that is democracy. We think that is the structure on the way we run our community. But imagine if we used technology and changed the trust paradigm between companies, superannuation, and us. And imagine if a superannuation company passed through the voting rights at an annual general meeting to the underlying beneficial owners, that is, you. So imagine if, instead of voting once every 3 or 4 years at a state or federal election, information technology allowed you to vote at every single annual general meeting at which you're a owner of. Probably 50 or 60 meetings a year, done online very quickly. And one of the things that you could vote on at an annual general meeting is the remuneration report, what you pay the executives and the board members. That would get their attention. Imagine if we put pressure on our superannuation companies to give us that right to exercise the power of our capital. Because I love to use the expression, protest in politics isn't the only way to make change. Use the power of your capital. To which many young people say, I don't have capital, like you shook your heads when I said you own BHP, but actually you do. You have a lot more capital than you think you have. There's $10 trillion sitting between Australia, Norway, US and UK alone in pension and retirement funds. That belongs to us. And if we use information technology to do two things. One, use IT to verify information, not just trust on your gut. And if you verified information, you would start to find things like, well, BHP does do some good stuff. Yes, they dig holes in the ground and dig up things that we need. Like in northern Peru, in a place called La Granja, Rio Tinto wants to dig up this beautiful part of the Andes Valley to create copper. And the environmentalists will go nuts, and rightly so in one part, because is there any way you can say, when looking at this valley, that digging it up is an environmental positive? And the answer is no, except by digging up this valley, you get copper. And if you believe in more electric cars than petrol cars, electric cars take 4 times as much copper as petrol cars do. If you want more solar farms, they need a lot of copper. And if you want wind farms, that takes a lot of copper. Where are you getting the copper from? So the challenge isn't, is it an environmental positive to dig up this mine? Because this valley, when looking just at the valley, it's not. But is it done with the least negative in mind to be able to counterbalance it against the environmental positives that come somewhere else through solar farms, wind farms and cars? And when you start to take the responsibility to ignore what all these other people are saying and look and verify based on data, you'll find that there are a lot more difficult decisions to make, and on balance, it's probably, if you run a mine well, digging up copper to be able to create all of these other empowerment mechanisms is probably, at the global level, an environmental positive. That's going to be hard to say. You mean a mining company might be a champion for the environment? It's certainly a contributing component of it, if done well. And I look at the anti-malaria program, I think, actually, you've got to congratulate them for that. I always love to say, give a pat on the back when a pat is due, and give a kick up the arse when a kick is due. And we're not very good at patting the private sector on the back when they deserve it. We're very good at kicking them when they don't. And if we use the internet to verify what the UN has actually been doing, we start to see horrific things like sexual abuse. And I put that out there, partly to shock you, but partly because there is one indefensible action. I can defend killing someone, I can. But I can't defend raping a child, ever. But we trust that organisation with our taxpayer money because we don't verify. And if we then looked even deeper and asked to say, well, actually, with the billions that it's got over the years, I know they've tried to bring the world out of poverty. But has it actually worked? Or has it just been Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? I have a view on that. You can read about it in my book, A Life Half Lived, or you can go and verify data on the internet and make your own judgment, which is what I think you should do. I'm hoping today to shock you. I'm hoping out of all presentations you get today, mine you'll remember. I'm hoping that you're going to go, did he just feed us a whole bunch of fake news? Or is it real? Don't believe him. Go and do the research. Verify what I said. Go to the horse's mouth. Download the Secretary General's own statement from his own website and ask yourself, how could the leader of a multinational organisation funded by our taxpayers admit to 311 cases of abuse, admit that it's the tip of the iceberg, admit that a lot of the victims were children, admit that that's only for the peacekeeping component of his organisation, of the broader organisation, admit that that's 2016 alone, and ask why we don't care. Is it because it's happening to little black girls in Africa and we just don't care about little black girls in Africa? Even though it's funded by our taxpayer funds, and even though, just like the Catholic Church, we might know the perpetrators. Maybe that friend of ours who works for the UN is one of them. Maybe they're not. So, how are we going to use the change in information technology to take the responsibility to verify information, to check assumptions, to re-question who we are trusting and who we are not trusting, to hold people account for bad behaviour and credit them for good? And we might just find ourselves every now and again saying, BHP and Rio Tinto, you're not so bad. United Nations, you're not so good. I'd like you to think about that today. Thank you very much. And next up is, are we up to James? No, where are we now? We're taking a break now? In that case, I'm open for a question because I'm not going to be here at 1:30, but I will be back later on in the afternoon. So thank you very much for listening. No, come up afterwards and we'll do it individually and let's have a chat.
I love that part right there.
Yeah.
You know, use that. It's such a great way to cue in users and stuff like that.
Such a